You know, if you've ever listened to the Quran being recited, there's this incredibly captivating, almost musical quality to it. But have you ever stopped to think about where that sound comes from? Well, it turns out it's not random at all. It's actually the result of a precise 1,400-year-old science of sound, a whole system of rules designed to preserve the original recitation down to the very vibration of each letter. So, how on earth does it work? Let's dive in. So, yeah, you hear it and you might think, wow, that person just has a beautiful voice. But it's actually so much more structured than that. Behind every single syllable, there's a hidden architecture, a set of instructions telling the reciter exactly how it's supposed to sound. And that entire system has a name: Tajweed. The word itself means something like to make beautiful or to perfect. And in practice, it's this incredibly rigorous science of phonetics. It's a complete instruction manual for pronunciation, all to make sure the original sound of the revelation is perfectly preserved. Let's start by breaking down a few of the most important rules. Okay, first up, let's talk about one of the most noticeable features you hear in a recitation: the way certain vowel sounds are held and stretched out. This isn't just for dramatic effect, it's a fundamental rule. This rule is called med, and it literally just means to stretch. The best way to think about it is like holding a note in a song. Reciters don't just guess how long to hold a sound, they actually measure it in beats. It's all about consistency and precision. Let's take a look at this phrase right here. Wama unzila ilena. See those long ah sounds? Those are perfect examples of med. So instead of a quick ma, a reciter would say ma, and instead of Elena, it becomes Elena, ah. That very specific stretching, that's the rule of med in action. So you're probably wondering, how does a reciter know when to stretch and for how long? Well, they're on the lookout for specific letters or little symbols that act as triggers for the med rule. Now, here's where it gets interesting. Some of these stretches are mandatory, you have to do them, but others are optional. The key, though, and our source material really emphasizes this, is consistency. If you decide to use an optional stretch for, say, 2 beats, you have to do it for 2 beats times every single time it pops up in your recitation. All right, so that's stretching. The next rule is all about creating a seamless, beautiful flow between words. Instead of having hard stops, certain sounds are actually designed to blend and merge right into each other. This is called idgham, which means to merge. It's what keeps the recitation from sounding choppy or disconnected. You can think of it like phonetic glue, connecting the end of one word to the beginning of the next, so the whole verse sounds like one continuous, flowing stream of sound. But of course, it's not always the same kind of merge. So idgham has 2 main flavors. If a word ends with a specific N sound, and the very next word starts with one of the letters you see on the left, you merge them together with a nasal sound called a ghunna. So ahadin minhum becomes ahadim minhum. You can almost feel that vibration in your nose. But if that next word starts with an L or an R, you merge it cleanly, without any nasal sound. Min rabbihim just becomes mir rabbihim. See that? The very next letter completely changes the rule. Okay, time for a quick break from the rules. While digging through the source material for this, the instructor paused for this fantastic piece of trivia that I thought was so cool, I just had to share it with you. It's a fun little brain teaser. He asked his students this exact question, and it's a good one. When you think about the sheer size of the Quran, what do you think the longest single word is? Go ahead, take a guess. All right, so you've got contender number 1, which a lot of people think is the longest. It's from Surah Al-Baqarah, Fayakfika humu. It means, then Allah will be sufficient for you against them. It's a pretty hefty 9 letters long. But there's another word from Surah Al-Hijr that's even longer, Fa'asqaina kumuhu. This one clocks in at a massive 11 Arabic letters. And there you have it, the winner. The longest word in the entire Quran is Fa'asqaina kumuhu, which means, and we gave it to you to drink. It's just a fascinating detail that shows you the linguistic complexity packed into the text. A great bit of trivia, right? Okay, back to the rules. This next one is really subtle, but it adds this distinctive, almost percussive quality to certain sounds. It's a rule specifically designed to make sure certain letters don't get lost or swallowed up. It's called qalqala, which translates to something like vibration or echo. Here's the deal. When one of 5 specific consonants is silent, meaning it doesn't have a vowel after it, you don't just stop the sound dead. Instead, you add a little bounce, a tiny echo, just to make sure the letter is heard clearly. And these are the 5 special letters. Now, to make them easy to remember, teachers of Tajweed came up with this clever little mnemonic phrase, قطب جد. So anytime a reciter sees one of these 5 letters with a sukoon on top, that little circle that means silence, they know it needs that qalqala bounce. Let's listen to an example so you can really hear it. In the word walasbalt, that last letter is a tha, one of our 5 bouncy letters. Without qalqala, it might sound a bit flat, like asphalt. But with the rule applied, you get that subtle echo at the end. Walasbalt, th. It's this crisp, clean finish. That little bounce really does make all the difference. So we've looked at stretching, merging, and bouncing. And these are just a few of dozens and dozens of rules. So it really makes you wonder, why? What is the ultimate purpose of this incredibly detailed, almost microscopic system? Well, it's because Tajweed isn't just about making the recitation sound pretty. That's a side effect. Its primary, most important job is preservation. It's a spiritual and, honestly, a scientific method designed to lock in the sound of the text forever. And think about what that means. Through Tajweed, a reciter today in the 21st century can pronounce these ancient words with the exact same phonetic qualities as the very first people who heard them 1,400 years ago. It's an unbroken oral chain. It's kind of like phonetic time travel. And that leaves us with one last big idea to chew on. This incredibly meticulous preservation of sound is pretty unique in history. It really begs the question, when you can preserve the exact sound of a message across centuries, are you also preserving something more? Maybe a part of its original impact, its spirit, its power? Definitely something to think about.